Hi, hello, happy Sabbath and Shabbat Shalom. Got a little hardware sitting over here by where I was doing some chicken frying the other day with my home modified cord adapter to a fry thingy that cord went missing to it, and so I just permanently mounted one to it. Then of course I made this basket. The basket is fence wire and hardware cloth, and well, it works. The hardware is for this. This right here is, well, a bed frame turned door frame, basically. And got little hinges on here that it will have. On one side, it'll have this latch attached to it. Regular old cheapo latch. By the way, I ordered 2 new piston and ring assemblies so I can put one in both saws. Couldn't get the gaskets, so I'm just going to have to use Permatex. So I'll use the cylinder hone on them and make certain that they're good and hopefully straight. So, following up on this door frame thing, what I got going on, the deal is that I'm going to be building a little pen up here. In fact, I've kind of started already, as you could see by the fact that that was welded up. Well, I guess you could see it. I didn't try to zoom in real close. Got lights out here, and I got I was going to use this little piece of bed frame as an interior part of that design, but I was also going to try to make it out of rough cut oak, mitered and mounted. But I was blessed with a whole bunch of plywood. We'll look at that here in a minute. So the plan is to go around some of these trees. Now I've got to make a little standoff by this tree because this tree has a bulbous base, which is really not conducive to a straight up and down fence row. I'm going to go off of that tree, which is also kind of not up and down. I'll end up having to do a standoff on it. Then you see the little box there. That box has been around here for going on 40 years. Little metal box that Mom's ex made. And I'm just going to use it for temporary shelter. And the wire will come from that mimosa tree around that little ash, around this red bud, up to that ash, which is dying for some reason, and then back down to that oak tree right here, and back over the mimosa. And the gate will be right up adjacent to the mimosa. In fact, what I'll be doing is I'll be this little dead piece here should be strong enough for a temporary arrangement, I hope. We'll find out the hard way if it is or not. If it's not, I'll just go through and anchor it over there. But the idea is I'll have this as an anchor post, and then the gate will sit right in here, and that will allow me to open and close and go into the pen right here from this location. And it's not very big. It's, I don't know, roughly on a kind of parallelogram kind of deal. It's about 20 by 30 or something, roughly, not accurately. But that should give me a little room for the little boys. They are small and they're just starting to eat solid food, so it won't be like they'll run out of something to eat right away. And besides, it's only until they get big enough to put them with the bigger boys. And but they'll get hay and grain and everything every day anyhow. And in other words, they'll still be what you'd call lot fed. And that's why the power cord's there, just to run electricity up to it. So some of the timber is going to end up being well, the free plywood here. Courthouse was remodeling and they threw out a bunch of plywood. So I'm going to cut to 36 by 56 out of that piece, which is like 42 by 61 or something. And then I got this other plywood over here, same batch. All together, without really tallying it up super accurately, I'm estimating that there's between 4 and 5 full sheets worth of 3/4 inch plywood here. I don't know if it's pressure treated. Ecotest exposure, floor span, underlayment, tongue and groove. It's 23/30 seconds. 24 inch on center Weyerhaeuser mill 161. Okay, well, that's what it is, I guess. My lemongrass, well, it hasn't died. Doesn't seem to have done a lot more yet. Doesn't seem to have rooted into the ground very much. Probably I need to just douche it down, push it down a little bit. I don't know. I need to water these things because otherwise they'll die of dehydration. In moving that box out of there, and I moved some of the sheet metal over here, it gave me a lot of room to line up some of my small outdoor implements. I've got more room if I fool with it, but that was just something I did in a hurry. The critters went and ate all those pretty cherries that were over here, which kind of ironically alleviated me of the need to actually try to harvest them. They just completely ate them all. Just flat out took them all. That's fine though, they're just wild cherries and not very big. Ironweed, boy, ironweed along here is just doing great. Real lush, bright purple flowers. The last batch of tomatoes on here, there were 7. I've already picked 5. I'm going to pick these today, I think. Yeah. If they come off with just gentle persuasion, then they're ripe enough. So anyhow, that was the 7 last tomatoes from the last round we had. It's still flowering, but it hasn't fruited in a while. A little green spider there. I don't know what kind of spider it is, but it's a spider. Patrolling my tomato plant. I need to water it some more, because without enough water it's going to shrivel up and die. Same is true for my celery plant. If I don't hurry up and water it, pretty soon it's going to shrivel up and die. In fact, I dare say it's looking a little droopy right now. Go buy this thing. These hazelnut flowers are coming along pretty good for next year. From what I can tell, still just one and only one hazelnut on the whole tree. Such it is. It's a nice looking one. And over here, the celery plant. A little droopy. A little wilty. Needs some more water. I'll get it some more water. I don't know what this white stuff is. I don't know if it's bird poop or what it is. There's white stuff on the leaves, but it doesn't seem to affect it adversely. So I'll water that later. I'm not going to go downstairs. There's not much to show. This looks about the same as it did last time. I sprayed some of the Perlament over the week. Just, if it worked, it's wilty. Anyhow, so the peach tree, despite the girl over here getting to it, I put another post over here and moved that. You can see maybe right along the shadow of that other post in between, there's a little spot there where the fence was pushed up against it so she could eat it. So I pushed it back this way and put another post in there. So it's still growing. Hopefully it's getting good and strong. Between the compost and the fertilizer, I'm hoping I've got it past its suffering stages. We'll probably need some pruning and trimming here and there, but right now it looks like it's in fair shape. Hopefully. Let's go by the Rose of Sharon over here. Loads and loads of walnuts. Going to be so many walnuts. Hopefully squirrels can eat them all because I can't handle them right now. Of course, the mimosas blooming. Not easy to see because they're way up there. Part of my plan is to prune this thing back since it's dying and rotting, as they tend to do, just to keep it healthier. The Rose of Sharon is literally weighed down by its own flowers. There's so many flowers it just bows over. And some people say it's wilting. No, it's a woody plant. It isn't wilting. It's just being pulled over by the weight of its own flowers and seed pods. And it will produce lots and lots of them. Which is a good sign. I mean, and again, these are part of the hibiscus family, and they're part of the cotton family. Hibiscus, cotton, okra, and Rose of Sharon are all part of one group. I forget their subclass of some other thing. It's like I just had only recently learned that carrots, celery, and what are you doing, Dilly Dill? Carrots and celery are the same family, but so too is hemlock. You know, deadly hemlock is part of the same family. So you could, I suppose, I heard a person call hemlock a poison carrot. So, I suppose. So I haven't yet finished picking up all the knockdown branches from before, but there's a lot of dead branches that need to be cut down anyhow. I ordered the parts for the saws. They're en route. Hopefully they'll be here soon. Hopefully I'll be able to start cutting these trees down and clearing them up. Over here, after I got past the varmints, who had robbed me of a large percentage of my fruit, they seem to have pretty much, a couple of them got. They seem to have pretty much backed off and not, I think the raccoon was the bigger threat than anything. I like to get my berries as ripe as possible, but, you know, so does everybody else. You know, whereas the varmints, once they're nice and ripe, they're out. They're up before I am, so they get to them before I do. So every once in a while you'll find a handful of seeds that used to be a berry. A large number of clusters of fruit absolutely did not produce, so all over. So the total amount of fruit that this thing should have produced is a lot lower than the amount of flowers that bloom, and a lot lower than the number of fruit that set, because a lot of them shriveled up. But in here, all the ones I've successfully picked are soaking in sugar. Again, that helps them resist rot and preps them for fermentation. Blackberry wine. The Russian Lespedeza is starting to flower. Of course, the tiger lilies have finished flowering. This thing is growing like a weed. People say, well, get rid of it then. Well, it still makes good shade over the house, so I like it even if it doesn't make fruit. I just would like it a lot better if it did make fruit. Just a couple weeks back, a couple months ago, that was just a imagination of one's mind, and now it's just heavy-duty vine, so it's growing really big. Mr. O'Malley got out of his collar. Boy, isn't he majestic. But he's still in the pen, so I'm not going to bother. Junior's dead. He's not dead. Hans here thought he was a big man. He was going to challenge Mr. O'Malley. Mr. O'Malley ran him around the field like he was a toy shopping cart in a hurricane. Mr. O'Malley is the hurricane, and Hans was the toy shopping cart. Now, Hans looks pretty big, and I suppose he's probably 160 pounds by now. But Mr. O'Malley is still every bit of 250 pounds. You just don't mess with Mr. O'Malley. He's the boss, and you better know it. Yeah, let's not look at that. Billy goats. It's rutting season starting up. What can I say? Anyhow, so still haven't gotten the well company out here again. They keep putting me off for whatever reason. Some grapes. They're mostly holding to the vine. Some are growing up better than others. Still a decent flush of fruit. So yeah, I can't proceed with this well project until they get out here and make the thing pump water. I need them to make it pump water so I can get in there and put tanks in there and other plumbing and stuff, and a wall and a roof. I mean, finish it, you know. So stressful. It's not the only stress we have. I'll mention the other stress in a minute. Just wanted to show you the poor little gentian over here. It's still got one stem. One little stem sitting there. Out of the 4 that it had in the spring. And well, hopefully that makes it through the year, because that's the only, and it bugs eat it a little bit, but that's the only thing it's got. Carry it through to next year. We shall see. And hopefully this is another gentian right here. I hope. We shall see. There might be several around here, I don't know. But like this right here might be one too, but it looks a little different. It looks a little spikier. Doesn't mean it isn't a gentian, it may just be a different kind too. So there's different kinds of plants over here that may or may not also be gentians, but at least 3 of them might be. I suppose saying it gentian or gentian, or I'm really not for sure how it's pronounced, to be honest with you. It's G-E-N-T-I-A-N. Nothing changed down there except the weeds are growing taller, and I need to cut that branch out of the way so I can get in there with the mower and mow it down and cut it back. Various yellow-eyed Susan sunflowers. Boy, that looks a world different in the camera, at least on the screen. Looks almost white at certain angles. There's a little bitty crab spider or something down there, some kind of spider in the flower, waiting for something to come along and get eaten. So, our little female persimmon tree over here, still dutifully trying to put on fruit. Again, not totally obstructed by being bent to the ground and trampled on. I was also going ahead and making new branches anyhow, so it is what it is. Those little yellow flowers I was telling you are propagating around here. Here's one right here. I actually never saw that before today. It's been there apparently for a while, but at least this year. The other ones along here are much further along in their flowering. So, the flowers themselves are pretty, but their spacing isn't very decorative. In other words, they're not exactly the kind of flower that most people would raise as an ornamental. Once the flower comes off, like so, there's a little seed head in there that in theory becomes, I'm guessing these are related to the peas, but since they may be poisonous, I'm not going to eat one until I know what they are and if they're safe or not. Again, there's morning glories. They're almost evening glories. They're still open really late in the day. I'm not complaining. It's fine. It's beautiful that they're open. Something's been eating them along through there. Loads and loads of flowers, and there'll be more flowers in the next couple days. So that's really cool. It's like I learned a long time ago, morning glories and sweet potatoes are the same family. Technically, sweet potatoes are just a really huge, strong morning glory with tubers. So, neat. Alright, on to other things. We've got to go work on Mom's car tomorrow. And it keeps leaking coolant and overheating a little bit, so we go over to my brother's place and see about running it with a computer diagnostic and see if we can't figure out what's wrong with it. I'm still enjoying, and so are the goats especially. I'm not eating it, but I'm enjoying feeding it to the goats, this new hay from my brother's place. Hopefully we'll get more. Other than that, there is a little bit of grass in the field. In fact, after this big heavy rain, a lot of Bermuda thatched out that I didn't even know was there. It was like there was nothing, and then there was Bermuda grass. Then there was this little hooligan who thinks he's going to be a big man someday. You're going to have to find yourself another herd before you can be a big man, because around her, Mr. O'Malley is a little unvariegated spider plant, doing fair. All the spider plants in the greenhouse are all doing great. Again, more grapes. Lots and lots and lots of really good grapes through here. Really good. Yeah, and then the more spider plants doing alright. We'll get some more fly traps to deal with flies. Goldilocks in here, this little critter facing away from us, turning back over her shoulder to look at me. Goldilocks right there has gotten out now twice. In fact, I just got her back in just before I went out to video. And so I got to put a blocker over this gap in the gate right here that she can get out of to discourage her from doing that in the future. And other than that, Daisy's coming along pretty good. What are you doing? Goldilocks. Yes. Jumpy Jeff's alright. Silver, he's looking pretty good and beastly. Good and big. Well, the sad news is we lost a baby. Right there is Chestnut and Pecan. We lost Praline, Pecan's brother. Apparently he got infected with something known as face eczema. It's rare in goats. It only usually happens as an opportunistic infection of a fungus. Unfortunately, this wet, sloppy area that we're in is prime conditions for this particular fungus. Hot, wet, humid, rotting, decaying plant matter. Like this right here, mush. Where the water comes from just slowly seeps out of the compost into here. You know, it's not from rain, it's just, in fact, it's just the water that they've been watered with, and they drink it and they pee it out, and it just fills the area with water, and it makes the fungus strong. The fungus strength isn't like, well, a good crop of it's stronger than a bad crop. It's more like the fungus strength is in its numerical value, but we've been fighting a lot with coccidiosis real bad. And because of that, unfortunately, the coccidiosis weakens the animals. And when the animals then get so weak they can't resist the fungus, then the fungus gets in there and attacks them. And the problem is it's the outside symptoms, the face eczema, which is pretty disgusting stuff. It bleeds, it weeps, it scabs. That just makes them miserable, but the fungus goes in there and attacks their liver with a poison that causes their bile ducts to swell shut, and they get fibrosis and cirrhosis, and they die. And they can die as quickly as a week, which is pretty much just about how long poor little Praline. I think I did a video of him last week. He was still here. He just had gotten it. Well, he died a couple days ago now, so he may have lasted 8 or 9 days. But generally speaking, when it got him, it took him down pretty fast, because we didn't know what it was. We had no idea. It took me a while of reading up to find out what it was. By that time, it was like too late. So, as it is, he's gone. We're sad. But, you know, lesson learned. So there's bismuth there, little bismuth, and Mercury. No, Sally. That's Sally. One with bulldog face and stubby ears. That's Sally. Mercury over there is Snippy Snap's baby, as is, Mercury. That's bismuth. Mercury's over here. Mercury, kind of similar markings as Sally, but smaller, a little more straight-faced, and long floppy ears instead of pug-faced with stubby ears. Yeah, it's Mercury. That's Mercury making the noise. Here's your Mercury. Bismuth. Here's your bismuth. Here's your Mercury. Yes. How you doing? Here's your babies. You too. Yes, you do two things at the same time. Talk and chew bubblegum. Well, maybe not bubblegum, but hay straw or your fur. Pecan didn't get disbudded because they grew too fast, and we had kind of too many things going on. But so he'll end up having horns, which isn't too terribly great, but I don't know how long we're going to have some of these boys. They'll end up either going to other farms or to, well, other fates, unfortunately, because we can't keep all the male goats. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. But hopefully, they'll find good homes. We don't know. It's all in the hands of Yahweh. Alright, and or people interested in saying, hey, I like your goat. We'll see. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything that I'm going to report on this week. Everything else is pretty much the same. So we'll see you next Sabbath.